darling, lay it to rest. You know we've tried our very best. Make your point and I'll make mine, but I won't draw the bow this time. A common ground is what we need, so let's stop leaning on the memories. Oh, the horizon, babe, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you The days are long and the years are short, but it won't be for nothing when we reach the port. Drop your sail and bow your boards. With feet on dry land, we will find our steady joy. Our common ground is what we need, so let's get out of this drowning sea. Oh, the horizon, babe, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. Won't you wait for me, mama? Say you'll wait for me, mama. I'll meet you there. Starving for a pocket of pills, with starlight and 24 film. It's easier than you think to find a thrill. Wake up, dance to the end. We're sober, swinging, won't pretend. Oh, I'm alive again. Oh, I feel alive again. Hey, will you waltz with me tonight? Say, will you waltz with me tonight? Let's pick it up on the all-night train. The city lights will remember our names. Stay and waltz with me for life. Many nights I slept alone, with TV shadows dancing on the wall, longing for some time and somebody to call. Wave goodbye to the yellow moon. Climb on out of your lonely room. Leave this house behind and I'll be there soon. A winking eye to the stars and dust. This ain't the place to be giving up. Oh, I'm alive again. Oh, I feel alive again. Hey, will you waltz with me tonight? Say, will you waltz with me Let's pick it up on the all-night train. The city lights will remember our names. Stay and waltz with me for life. And can you hear the angels singing for us, for life? It's been so long since I could believe it. Humankind. Hey, will you waltz with me tonight? Say, will you waltz with me tonight? Let's pick it up on the all-night train. The city lights will remember our names. Say that you waltz with me for life.
Live here at the stage, WTJU, the sounds of Michael McArthur, accompanied by Josh Davis. They're in the midst of a big tour behind Michael's upcoming release. Milky Stars coming out in September. Welcome to WTJU.
Hey, thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Thrilled to get you here. Originally from Lakeland, Florida.
Lakeland, Florida, yeah, it's right in between Tampa and Orlando, sort of right in the middle of the state.
It's a Strawberry Festival somewhere around there every
Yeah,
year.
close by, Plant City, 20, 30 minutes.
Fine place to be from.
A lot of strawberries.
Well, let's talk about what got you into music. If memory serves, you started off wanting to be one of the best guitarists in the world, if not the finest, but you kept finding your way back to songwriting.
Yeah, so when I was 16, my grandfather bought me my first acoustic guitar. It was a made in Korea Fender acoustic. And I don't play it anymore, but it's hanging on the wall in my living room. And so when I first started playing it, my dad taught me a few super easy chords like E minor and G and D. And but I always wanted that thing where you could go on stage and you could just rip a guitar solo and blow people's minds, or sit in with anybody playing. If there's a guitar around, you could just sit in and, impress people that way. I thought that's what I wanted to be. I loved B.B. King and Albert King, all the Three Kings, and Stevie Ray Vaughan and all those guys, Eric Clapton. But when I think back on it now, the type of stuff that I listened to were always singer-songwriters, people that had an instrument and they sat in a room somewhere and they wrote a song. People like Bill Withers and James Taylor and Tom Waits and Bruce Springsteen. Those are my heroes. So it makes sense to me now that when I would sit down and try to learn how to melt faces, I would end up writing a song instead.
Well, there's a fellow by the name of John Mayer. I don't know if you know that name or not.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to his music professor up at the Berklee College of Music, and I had posed the question, what students came to you wanting to do one thing and then ending up doing something else? And he said, well, John Mayer comes to mind. He wanted to be the world's best guitarist, but kept coming back to songwriting.
Oh, yeah. Well, honestly, he's one of the world's best guitarists, so
Yeah,
he kind of does both. Yeah.
So it's it's funny. You start with one thing, but what really rises to the top is what you really want to do. And for you, that's a wonderful thing. And of course, you got Josh alongside of you, so you've got two fine guitars going on throughout the songs as well. I'm curious, your first album back in 2012, was that your first release, an EP?
My first EP was released in 2012.
And new one's coming out in September, Milky Stars, as I said. A full album. What's been the biggest difference between that first EP 10 years later to this new album that you've seen?
Woo. How much time do we have? No, there's, over the last 10 years, the songs in that first EP I wrote probably 11 years ago and recorded it in the beginning of 2012 and then put it out. And I think any artist, whether you're a songwriter, a painter, or if anybody that makes things, will tell you that so much changes from when you really start doing it. There's a journey, my taste changed. What I thought was good has definitely changed. And You know, some of those early songs are special to me, and then some of them make me cringe, you know, and I just, try not to remember them. But,
well, here's a question for you though. With that in mind, some artists go back and look at those early ones that made them cringe and see if they can improve them later in life, and others look at them as a placeholder. Where do you come down on that?
There have been a few exceptions where I will go back to it and rewrite the lyrics, because the lyric is how I connect to a song. So if a lyric is, if I feel like the lyric is right, then the song is right. Whether or not it's a hit, none of that matters. It's how I stay connected to the music. So there's been a few exceptions where I'll go back and rewrite, but for the most part, I let them be where they are. And the thing is that even though this song or that song may not be what I consider to be good now, me having that experience has contributed to everything that I've written.
Can you maybe grab a lyric or a line from an earlier song and maybe update it in a newer song, something that just says, I could improve on that just a bit and add something to this new song?
Oh, I do that all the time, and especially with songs that I don't end up releasing. There might be a line or two that I really liked, and I'll take that and put into the soup of another song.
Well, those just tuning in, we've got Michael McArthur here up at the stage at WTJU in the midst of a big tour. If you happen to be in Charlottesville or within driving distance to Charlottesville and can make it out to Chisholm Vineyards in Earlysville, he's going to be there with Josh at 5:30 this evening. And then heading on down to Blacksburg, Virginia, and he's going to be visiting a radio station down that way. And then in Roanoke, he's going to be at Big Lick Brewery tomorrow at 5. Check out michaelmccarthurmusic.com. Lots more questions for you, Michael, but how about we get another one or two?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a song called Winding River, and it's off the new album Milky Stars. And lyrically, especially, it's probably my favorite song on the record. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come sit and talk to me. Your wooden skin has gone soft and pale. You can trade LA for New York City, and free will for the wishing well. Hold fast, my love, eyes on me. Oh, the winding river is hard to read. Think of giving up, but don't you dare. Oh, the winding river leads somewhere. Well, that's it. It's over now. Made plans forward with yesterday's news. Couldn't find a way to work it out, but you did all you could do. Hold fast, my love, eyes on me. Oh, the winding river is hard to read. Think of giving up, but don't you dare. Oh, the winding river leads somewhere. And there's light love in the morning. Yes, there's light love in the morning. The milky stars are on fire again, and there ain't a map to guide you through. Of all the places that you've never been, there's a universe in you. Oh, the winding river. Oh, the winding river. Oh, the winding river. Oh, the winding river. All right, here's a song, current single for the album. It's called Lady Luck. Cold is the flow, turned up drunk again. Heaven knows I've been low before, but I sure could use a friend. Lady Luck, I'm in a bad way. Lady Luck, I know I can change if you bet on me. Yeah. Early is the month, came up short again. Heaven knows I've been broke before, but I sure could use a friend. Lady Luck, I'm in a bad way. Lady Luck, I'm looking for change. Won't you bet on me? Tricky is your word, he was more than just revenge. Heaven knows I didn't fall before, but I sure could use a friend. Lady Luck, I'm in a bad way. Lady Luck, I know I can change. Won't you bet on me? Yeah. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo.
Live here at the stage, sounds of Michael McArthur and accompanied by Josh Davis doing Lady Luck, the newest single off of his upcoming album Milky Stars, due out September 16th. All the details on that over at michaelmcarthurmusic.com. And we've got a link up at WTJU.net as well. Michael, let's talk about that song. When did you start working on Lady Luck?
I started working on Lady Luck during the pandemic. So, when COVID hit, that was really the first time in my life that I didn't have a plan. I had no choice but to stay home. I'd always been on the road and back home, and I would write every chance I could and would make music and record stuff in between. But so home was always like a sanctuary. It was always like I was always look forward to coming home. And not that I don't love home, because I do, but when you're forced to be there, and you're alone for most of the time, it's a different thing. So to go from being around people all the time to then spending most of my time alone, it was just a change that I wasn't prepared for. And a lot of people, I think, have had that same experience. So I started writing songs and wrote Lady Luck. And I think it stems out of, I went through a few dark periods, I don't want to divulge too much information, but, like cracking a beer at 10 o'clock in the morning and being drunk and sober by 2:00 in the afternoon, like that kind of thing, stuff that I'm not proud of, but it was me coping with this new challenge of my life. So Lady Luck is a song about being down on your luck and the challenge that comes with that and hoping for change.
Well, you talk about how that inspired you with that song, and I'm curious, when I chat with songwriters, some of them have times of the day that they'll do their songwriting, others strictly do it on inspiration, and others have to have a place other than writing at home. What's your process?
I like having a routine, and my thing is you can't write a song unless you pick up a pencil, or your guitar. So inspiration is great when it happens. There are songs that come very quickly, and I think a lot of songwriters will tell you that. But if you want to write songs, you got to write songs, You got to sit down and write, make that time. So I just make regular time. I treat it like a job. Wake up in the morning, have breakfast, and a cup of coffee, and write for a few hours, and have lunch, and then write for a few more hours. And you start to build these ideas, and some of them are good and some of them are not. And eventually you'll come across something great. And over the course of time, you'll finesse it into a finished product. But I forget, I don't remember who said this, but there's a quote, and it's art is never finished. It's just abandoned in an interesting place. So that's how I treat songwriting.
Well, there's a great songwriter by the name of Daryl Scott. I don't know if you know the name or not. He's written for a lot of folks. And I asked him a couple of years ago, just before the pandemic, I said, do you write the songs for you or do you write them for others? And he goes, well, it always starts with me and then evolves. But I've met other songwriters who say that they can write for others. Have you written for others, or do you write your songs for you and then perhaps others might find their own interpretation along the way?
I mean, there's a little bit of me and my thought and heart in each song. I've written songs with others in mind, but there's still a little bit of me in it, and that, it's also how I relate to the song. It's like all the stuff that I write is very personal, and but I think that if it means something to you and it moves you, I mean, I've been in the moment writing a song and gotten choked up, or the hair stands up on my arms or something. And if I'm feeling it in that way, then somebody else will too. One or two people might,
Now, this album that's coming out in September, Milky Stars, you've got some heavyweight talent producing it.
Yeah, Jakir King. He's now a buddy of mine. But while I was at home writing songs and not knowing where the world was going to be in the future, I had in my mind, I was like, if I could make my next record, if I could make one, I would make it with Jakir. And he's made so many great records over the years. I sent him, every time I write a song, I record an acoustic demo of it at home. And so I sent him a few demos in a cold Instagram DM, but we weren't connected in any way. And like 2 weeks later, he wrote back and he said he loved the songs. And the thing about Jakir is that our first conversation, he was adamant about getting to know me. He said, I can't make your best record unless I know you, unless I feel like I know you. So we had probably 10 or 12 conversations on the phone that were an hour long a piece. And we talk about life and about music and family and interests and things like that. And that was before I even showed up in Nashville on day one to record. So, but when I got to Nashville, I already felt like I knew him, and which was great because I felt comfortable enough to be vulnerable. And you have to be vulnerable to make a recording. You have to be vulnerable to write a song. So, but when you're writing a song, you're alone, and when you're recording something, you've got 10 other people around. So it takes more and thoughtful intention to get to a vulnerable place.
We talk about the 10 other people, some of those musicians I imagine for the album, including Drew Smithers, I think. Did I see that he actually on Lady Luck? I think, of course, he's part of the Grammy-winning Marcus King Band. And so who's some of the other talent we're going to hear on the album when it comes out?
Yes, we got Drew, who's such a sweetheart. I love Drew. Eli Beard played bass. All of these guys, if you look them up, they just have a long list of people that they've toured with or played for. Aaron Sterling on drums. You mentioned John Mayer. He just got off tour with John Mayer. And Elliot Blaufus on... Elliot is a unicorn. He played saxophone, he played accordion, he played organ, piano, Wurlitzer, guitar, and Josh Davis on guitar as well. And then we had, when we recorded 2 songs, we had background vocalists come in, Kristen Rogers, Amber Woodhouse, and Lauren Morrow.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And that album, Milky Stars, as I said, comes out in September the 16th. And it's Transoceanic?
Yeah, Transoceanic Records, which shout out to them. Such beautiful people. Jakir introduced us and back in last December. And they loved the album. And they loved it so much they sent us back to Nashville to record 2 more songs, because I originally had 10. So now the album is a 12-track album. We have developed just such a beautiful relationship and friendship, Jock and Susan at Transoceanic. Well, so I feel very lucky.
Before we let you walk out the door, how about you give us one more?
Okay, I can do it. Maybe O Sedona. Can you do that? Okay. All right, so this is a song called O Sedona. And my grandmother passed just before the pandemic, just before lockdown. And it happened in a way that we didn't get to, memorialize her. So I wrote this song, and it was sort of my way of saying goodbye. The stars will cry over cottonwoods. The stars will cry over cottonwoods. You gave all you had, much more than most would. Oh, Sedona, you were good to me. You belong among the red sandstone. You belong among the red sandstone. Just as the old creek knows the moon is gold. Oh, Sedona, you were good to me. It's a damn shame I didn't say goodbye. 93 is overtime for the body and the mind. She's been ready since Granddad went on. When the Lord calls, He calls you home. See you on the other side. You will live on in my memory. You will live on in my memory. When I look up, I can still hear you singing. Oh, Sedona, you were good to me. Oh, Sedona, you were good to me. Oh, Sedona, you were good to me.
Michael McArthur, live here at the stage at WTJU, accompanied by Josh Davis. Michael, thank you so much for finding time to stop by, and we look forward to getting you back here at the stage next time you're coming through town. And for folks out there, do check them out this evening at Chisholm Vineyards, starting around 5:30 out there in Earlysville.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'll come back anytime.